voice, lead from within. With me today is Dr. Biget Tan. Dr. Biget, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Numsa, and good afternoon and or good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. Let me ask you this. Have you ever have a time that you perhaps in a relationship, whether you are in a relationship or you would love to be in a wonderful relationship, and you notice that you do things that you later on you say, huh, why did I do that? Why did I react from this? Or perhaps you know that you need to do something. Perhaps you know you need to open up more, trust more, communicate more, anywhere, somewhere in that aspect. But you're just not doing it. You kind of like, oh, I'm just something holding me back. Your mind says you got to do this, but you're not doing this. Do you know that is there ever time you're doing that? And all this can be caused from the pain from your past relationship, particularly, actually, in some cases, in many cases, unrecognized pain that's still kind of lingering there, but not in your conscious mind, and not in your conscious awareness. And for today, we'll discuss on how you'll be able to move forward past this pain and create the relationship that you really, really love. And as that is one of my specialty, I am Dr. Burjit Tan, grief transformation specialist. Well, I help whatever grief that you have in the past, the pain that you might still have, that you might not even recognize, and help you use it to create a wonderful, spectacular result that you love.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Biget, for explaining our topic. And yes, our topic is for today is the pain holding you from basically telling you, is the pain telling you that it is impossible to find love again. So I used to be in this situation where people will be speaking and I'll find myself, whatever they say they don't want to do before I go into personal development, my subconscious mind basically will be picking on that. I find myself, I'll be going along with what my friends are saying. It will become my true story, but deep down in my heart, I know that what I'm saying out loud is not what my heart desires. It's not what I desire within. I desire the truth about my life. Are you someone who is basically had so much pain, so much disappointment, and you're feeling that there is no a good man out there? There is not a good man out there, but actually the same good man that you are looking for is looking for the same good woman that is looking for a good man. But then you're making an excuses and saying, I've been so much pain, I don't think I can actually get into a relationship, and it's so much hard work, it's so much effort, but when you go to bed, the real life is sinking, your friends are not there. And then you are like, I wish I could find somebody. But because you're lying to yourself, everyone wants that happiness that they deserve. And that happiness is still there. You can still look for it only if you can actually divorce being a follower. No one, everyone wants to find that special person. If we were to tell the truth, I myself, if I was single, I would want to find that special person to spend my time with, to go on a holiday with, to basically just to have that, share my life with somebody. I would not say I don't want to find someone and there's no good man, because just because I've been hurt, it doesn't mean everyone is the same. So we are going to cover that with Dr. Biget, and Dr. Biget as well. She is a grieving coach. Grieving can make us do so many things. Dr. Biget is basically as a grieving coach. Have you ever had the experience with your clients where somebody just to say exactly the topic that basically I have been so much pain. I don't think I can actually love again. I don't think I can start the whole thing of dating over to you.
Yes, absolutely, Numsa. It's definitely. And have I ever have that? Yes, I would say at least half of my clients who come to me for loss from a loved one feel that way. And a lot of time, not only the relationship, but also that lost relationship might be associated with youth, with better time and so forth. And so that they often say, you know what, I've been in so much pain, or I've been in so much trauma, that I feel that I can never be in love again, or I can never be happy again. And and any versions of that. And the good news is that when they do the work, through the coaching in typically as short as 9 to 12 weeks, they actually, at the end of the day, they say, at the end of the coaching, they all say, you know what, I'm glad I did this. Now I feel I can open up and move forward with my life.
To hear that I keep kicking things out. I keep kicking the camera off. I don't know why. I'm glad to hear that, Dr. Biggett, because when you have been a heart in life and you feel that everybody's going to do the same thing, but the truth is we are all different. We are all unique. Um, if we have gone through that pain, we have to deal with the pain as the individual. We have to deal with the experience as the individual, not labeling everybody else and saying, I can never love again. You can love again. If you have had, if somebody that is watching you have had a really, really bad experience, there are so many people who have gone through abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and they have given up. And guess what? The good news is that's why you are not with that person, and it's been a journey. So you can take whatever you've learned from your past relationship and work on yourself, because life is a journey. For me to be where I am today is because I was willing to actually admit that I don't know I don't know how to run a relationship, but I would love to learn. So I was able to put basically to surrender my egos, take off my high heels, and say, you know what, I love to learn how to love. This basically love starts with me. If I can allow somebody to basically to enter my life and mistreat me, that means I don't value myself. So you have to value yourself. You have to understand that you are unique. No one can enter your life and change your thinking and change your mindset. You are unique, and you basically you deserve to be happy. Whatever you're meant to do, you deserve to do all those things. So when you go through all this pain, so that's why there's people like Dr. Bigot that can help you to actually go through that pain and do every layer of the pain, because the pain has layers. Some people basically they're not lucky. They they grow up parents do something, maybe abusive parents, maybe abandonment, maybe rejection. And then you meet somebody, you go into a relationship because the past is still there. You experience the same thing. So it's okay to understand that life is a journey. But as a human being, I do not deserve this. And just work on your life and get a therapist, a grieving coach, because when you go through rejection, we grieve inside. And for me, I didn't realize actually I've never realized that actually rejection is grieving. It means I've been rejected and I'm grieving because I want somebody to accept me. But I don't do that anymore. If you reject me, I'm like, she's messed up or he is messed up. I'm not going to get caught up in that rejection moment. I just pray for this person that rejected me and make sure that I basically pray for myself and just release myself from that pain that is meant to enter my life and refuse to accept the pain. And I'm glad, Dr. Bickett, you were able to tell our audience that the pain is sometimes in our subconscious mind, the pain is sometimes is there and we don't notice it. And it is, for me, basically, when I went through uh, therapy, I realized that I had so much pain that I was holding, and I had to be honest with myself. I had to wanting to find out why my life ended up this same way. It's like a cycle. So I had to break that cycle. So you can break it, so you can be happy. And so, Dr. Biggin, what advice as a grieving coach can you give to somebody who tells a lie? Like, let's say I'm single and I am dying to meet that person, but I'm adopting the language of my friends or family when they say I don't want to be with somebody, and I'm just copying them, but deep down in my heart, I know that it's not what I desire. So, what advice can you give somebody that is watching right now?
Absolutely, Numsa. So thank you so much. So yeah, just in case some people become confused, and thank you for mentioning this, Numsa, that grief is not only from death, divorce, dire diagnosis, or job loss. It could be from one of those in the past, but grief is actually the unsettling feelings caused by a change or hope unmet. And so being rejected is a great example because you want something, you are hoping that this person or group of people will receive you wonderfully, and then it doesn't happen, and that can cause you grief, or any change can that cause enough unsettling feelings can also cause you enough grief. So that is one thing. Thank you for pointing that out. And the other parts for your question, so what do I say to people who deep inside secretly want to be in a beautiful relationship, but they're, the friends or what have you, they're listening to the mess. Honestly, what I would do as a grief coach is, I would first of all is, if you are the person that welcome hug, I want to give you a big virtual hug, and I want to get to let you know that my heart is with you, and that it's okay to be the way you are. It does not make you wrong. Now, at the same time, if you want a different result, you cannot continue to be the way you are. And that's because a lot of time for you to be doing whatever that you're doing or saying whatever you're saying for now, uh, many times that's because you have been disappointed in the past. And that's not a fun feeling if any of us ever been disappointed. And that's because or something happened in the past that caused you grief. And it could be an abusive relationship. It could be you witnessing somebody else's abusive relationship. It could be a lot of things. But none of those are pleasant feeling. And many times when we are having something going on, whether it's outside of our life, but even more when it's inside of our life, in our heart. When things are broken, we feel broken. Nobody like feeling broken. And so if you feel that something's going on and things are not quite right, and just let's just give up, then my big hugs to you and much love to you. And at the same time, please know that if you don't change, if deep in your heart you would love something to be different, then if you continue doing what you're doing for the last 6 months or the last 12 months or the last couple of years, then the result going to be different. And now this could be for some reason, but for some people, I have even friends who says, well, I mean, before I used to say that, before I said, who cares about being in a relationship? I used to try to be in a relationship, but it seems like I ran into a roadblock. It's just like one after another loser, or one after another bad man, or another bad woman, or something like that. And that's when I decided that it's just not worth my time. Well, then perhaps you want to do it differently. Even if you have tried, you go to on I don't know, one of the numerous dating apps and dating websites, right? And nothing work out. Well, it doesn't mean you got to give up. Perhaps you just want to approach it differently. Perhaps you might want to say, okay, is there something in the past that's still holding me back? You now just saying that, let's go back to the website, then let's go back to the app, then let's go out again, then might not give you a different result if the what happened is something that's unrecognized to you, inside of you, that holding you back. That's when you want to allow support, and that's when you want to allow support that says, when I talk about support, it's not only support from outside where people, affirmations all great and wonderful. Don't take me wrong, but sometimes if you have something you happen in the past, it's gonna like block your heart and close the door in of your heart. And then you can do all the affirmations, then you do it still doesn't get in, right? Have you ever done affirmations and all these things? Then perhaps you want to do something that allow you to open the door of your heart.
That is so true. That is so true, Dr. Biggett. You have to allow yourself. And I like it when you say if you want the different results, you cannot continue the way you are. You have to change something. Basically, I like it. Mostly for me, basically, it was for me to change my thinking, how I thought about like when I'm meeting a man, I expected them to behave like my father. I expected them to behave like my stepfather. You can't tell me off because my family, my parents never told me off. And there's so many things that the argument that wasn't basically, if somebody, a man started arguing with me, I get scared because it's not something that I was introduced to. I've never saw my parents fighting. So when a man start arguing with me, I will be like, I'll get scared. I'll go into a different mood. Basically, it's like I'm out. This is not something that I'm used to. But I had to change my mindset to understand that actually it's okay to fight. It's fine when somebody does not understand something. It's okay for us to have this argument as long as it's not about me trying to win the argument. It's about me trying to win, basically trying to understand what is going on. But basically, I don't fight. Meditating and having to understand how God works, and it has helped me. And also, uh, Dr. Bigger, you spoke about the blockage that sometimes when we go through pain, it can cause blockage inside. And by clearing every blockages and conflict within in my inner child, it has helped me to understand that I don't need to fight. I can sit down and have a chat. Like yesterday, uh, uh, basically I was trying to set up with two monitors, and my spouse comes in and he goes, "Do you actually need these big two monitors? There's four monitors." And he was like, "I don't think you really, really need this." And I was like, "If I'm doing this, I need to be able to do this. If I'm doing this, I need to be able to do this." So he was explaining to me no, you do not need this monitor. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have two, but I'm gonna have the small one and the big one. So I'm gonna have to give up the big one. And I could feel in my heart that that's not what my heart wants, but it does make sense. But I could have easily started the argument, but I saw where he was coming from, and I could see that maybe having two monitors is not a good idea after all, but although it's a good idea, or maybe when I have my own studio where I can do what I want, but here maybe it's not a good idea. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And I took it down. I took the other one down and I replaced it with the small one. But he was trying to convince me that I agreed before that I'm not going to use two monitors, but I think they are just working with my mind. I don't think I agreed to it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but before I'll be like, why don't you get me? Why don't you get my needs? This is what I want. It will be like focusing on me, 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 me. But now I'm in a place where if somebody puts whatever they put across, I have to evaluate it. If it makes sense, it hurts, Dr. Biggett, to admit that you are wrong. It does hurt sometimes inside. So if I see that this person makes sense, I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So I had to give up my monitor yesterday. So what I'm trying to say is what Dr. Biggett is saying. You don't have to live in pain. You don't have to live in a brokenness, because when you feel hurt and the pain tells you that you can't find Mr. Right, that means you're still broken. And when the noise of the world tells you that there is no Mr. Right, it's impossible to find Mr. Right, to find Miss Right, Mrs. Right. How many women out there who are out there who are single? How many men out there who are single? And most of these women, they've worked on themselves. And most of these men, they've been hurt, but they've worked on themselves. So they can actually find each other. So I believe that whatever your needs may be, there is still somebody out there for you. That's what I believe. For me, that's my beliefs. I don't believe that we cannot find it. There is no nice person out there. I believe that we are unique, and I believe that if I was to search through my soulmate, I will find that soulmate. Even if I have to date 1,000 men, I will find that soulmate if I wanted to. So that's what I believe. And I know that, and I'm believing it for somebody else out there who is single. And I believe that if you know what you want, and whatever Dr. Biggett has just said about the roadblocks and doing things differently than you've done it before, and recognizing the pain, that's what she said, and not living in brokenness, and recognize what's broken. And I believe that if you follow all those steps, I believe that you will find love. And for me, as a love harmonist, I believe that if somebody is really, really, really being honest within and finding love and working on that fear as well, there's fear within us that is stopping us living the life that we want. And for me, basically, if I'm lying to myself and I'm saying you're following somebody and they're saying something that actually I know that is not something that I want, I call me out. I say, no, no, sir, you are a liar. This is not what you want. So I have to say out loud so that I get rid of it. And I know, and so that I can focus on the things that I desire, because God desires me to be happy. He desires me to have a man in my life, not a man that will look after me, a man that I will share my life. This love discovery, Dr. Biggett, you have your spouse. You are sharing the discovery, this love that you've discovered about yourself within. So that's what life is about. You share your love with somebody else. And I think it is amazing. So For right now, Dr. Biget, if anyone is watching, as a grieving coach, how do they deal with the roadblocks? How can you deal like the first step of dealing with the roadblocks? Because the roadblocks could be from our childhood. The roadblocks could be the things that were said to us. That is completely blocking things in our lives. So it could be past relationship. How do we begin to deal with it and just live the life that we want?
Thank you, Numsa. And I will answer that questions in one moment. But excuse me. For some of us, it is. I love your different example about being in the pain and the roadblocks could be a lot of things. One thing I do want to point out is that for some people, they say, I don't believe I have any pain. I don't believe I have any what have you. And it could be this past experience could shows up in different way. And for some it's disappointed, for some it's giving up, for some it's anger. A lot of time when you have something holding you in from the past, it might actually show up as anger or simply dislike or even triggers. I remember this was the most interesting thing back in the day. After my marriage, I went to date people, and one of the gentlemen whom I met, and he in his things he said he would love to be in a wonderful relationship and this and that. And I don't know what causing, what's his story and so forth. But basically, even on the first date, he was putting a lot of time about how disgusting it is for, and he find out that I work, I take care of myself. And then he spent a whole long time and used and putting names and labels that is pretty harsh as well, about women who want to just stay at home and doesn't want to work, and they basically are this and they basically are that, and on and on and on and on. And oh, the one that says, oh, they'll work, and then there is always something come up, and then they don't work and they just steal your money. They're thief and they're this and they that. And for some of you that's familiar with the word, they're this with a word start with W. And I just sitting here thinking like, you got a lot of whatever make you angry. And in he briefly mentions that he was in a relationship with his former wife, his former girlfriend, seemingly excuse me, always want to be doing this type of this they even if they are working, and then they want to stop working and all. And I was like, okay, it sounds a little bit like a therapy sessions. And but this was a lot of anger, and a lot of people, a lot of some of my friends, and some of the people whom I hear, and as well as a few of the people back in the day whom I date, there was like a lot of anger in this and that. So just know that it's not always the pain, it's not always disappointment, it's not always this. Sometimes what it shows up is as anger, something irritate you, something trigger you. Now what can you do if you say, okay, I recognize that I have this block here, something holding me back in this, or now I start to believe that there is no good man left, or now I start to believe there is no point, or whatever it is, that it is not the result that deep, deep, deep in your heart you still would love. What can people do? Well, I would say the first one is to decide. Everything come with a decision. Everything, even with grief, even with the one of my training is the Grief Recovery Institute, the other one's Life Mastery Institute. even for those who, let's say, your loved one passed away in a tragic manner, and from time to time we have people who come and their loved one passed away because of drunk driving. It's like a freak accident of drunk driving or something like that. At the very end of the day, it is your decision to have things, you have your result from now on change. So the first one is to decide that you want things to be different, and then that leads to the second one, to decide that you're going to take the action and actually take the action. I'm going to do this, Numsam, and I'm going to ask you and the audience a question. So imagine, right? This is always the story. There are five birds sitting on a branch, and then and the bird says, "You know what? This is There is nothing in here on this tree here anymore for us to eat. So we need to get away from here. We need to get away from here." And so two of the birds, of the five birds, says, "Okay, I decide I'm gonna fly away to the other tree. I decide I'm gonna fly away to the other tree." There are five birds. Two birds says they decide they're going to fly away to the other tree. How many birds are on the tree now? Two decided that they're going to fly away. The five initially. I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Okay. How many beds together? Five.
Five of them, and two says that they decide.
To leave. And
They
three stays behind.
actually five birds still on the tree.
Five
One,
birds.
five birds on the tree. Two says they are going to fly away, but
Okay.
it's not meaning acting. So five on the tree and two says, "I'm gonna fly away. I'm gonna fly away. I'm gonna fly away. I'm gonna fly away." Did they fly? No. They
Now,
have fly, so there's still five on the trees. Now, if two birds says they are going to fly away and they flew, then three left, right? And that's the thing. So if you say you want to, which is taking the second part of what you ask, what can people do to take the action, to actually act and take the actions, because you can say, okay, yes, I decide that I think I'm going to change. I decide I'm going to change. I decide I'm going to change, and I want to change my result. But if you actually have not taken the actions that you need to take, then it's not going to change. If you say you're sitting on a branch on a tree that, like, there is no good man or good woman anymore in this tree, and we need to fly away to the other tree, but the other tree is way far up there, and I'm a little bit scared about flying there, and so I keep saying, yeah, I gotta fly there, I gotta fly there, I gotta fly there, but you don't actually fly. You just say you're gonna fly. You decide you're gonna fly, but you have not actually taken the actions of jumping off the tree and fly. Then you're still gonna be on that same tree. So the second actions, and the second key is to actually do the right action. And if what you have done in the past not giving you the result you want, that will be equivalent of you are on a tree. There is no more good things left on that tree, and you are. I saw this the other day. It was interesting. It's a little. It's a baby hawk, and he, I think because he's a baby, he's hesitant, and instead of flying away to the other tree, this hawk look around and he's like, look, and he looked like he decided he's gonna jump, and he flopped his wing, but then instead of jumping to the other tree, he jumped to a different branch. Instead of flying to a different tree, he flew just like a little bit to a different branch, and then sit there and looking around, and then did that a couple times, like flop again, and just, but still in the same tree, still doing the whatever he was doing before. And then finally, this hawk this young hawk. It's hop here and hop there. And I was like looking here. I'm like, how, what an interesting metaphor. And I wonder if it's going to eventually fly. I mean, it got to fly at some point. It's a hawk. And so it's eventually this hawk took off and go flop, 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 you know, like it wasn't graceful. It's like flop, 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 flop. And then, and I was like, oh, did the bird fly? Did the bird falls? I thought he fell down because he was flapping. I came out to my driveway to see if the bird fell down. No, there is no birds on the ground. And then I finally look up, and he was actually at the other tree. Even though he was flapping, he was at the other tree and he was happy. And it's like, okay, and this is much better. And then just in a very short times, he was sitting there and looking around, feeling much better. And then I think he saw something in the sky, and then he took off and sailed off so smooth and so gracefully, which is the way when you think about a hawk flying, he's just like, woo, like so elegantly. And so, what does it say? You can decide that you're going to leave the tree, you're going to do something different, going to do something different. But if you don't do that until you actually leave it, took off, and even if you're not certain, even if you're like, well, I'm not certain about this, and I could possibly jump off into this completely different way of doing things than I have done in the past, or this and that, and I could possibly fail or fall or fail. But if you don't do that, you'll never get out. You'll never change. You will not change your result. So the second action is the second advice is to take action, to take actions. And if you have tried something in the past, perhaps you tried personal development, perhaps you tried affirmations, perhaps you tried multiple dating websites and apps, then try something different. If you never have somebody who help you with your unrecognized grief, and practically anybody that is has who has lived up to certain age called adulthood have unrecognized grief, and that is that's not resolved yet, that's causing you to have to hold you back. You never have somebody help you. That if you never have love harmonies helping you, then perhaps you just want to give it a try. What you got to lose? You're not having the result that you want. So what you really got to lose? And so, what about you, Numsa? Have you ever seen somebody who perhaps came to you and said, you know what, I tried all kind of things and it doesn't work, but then when they work with you, they actually have the result that they want?
Yes, most of the time I find that when somebody is coming to me, they're looking for love. They don't want to do the work because they believe that there's all sorted out, there's nothing wrong with them, and they believe that they've been wronged in the past by people, by a relationship they've been hurt, so there is nothing wrong there. And as we go along, when somebody speaks to you, you have to listen to them, and you have to keep asking questions. That's how you get to know someone. And the more you ask the questions, the more you feel the pain of what they're going through. Because underneath, there is a pain that has been in layers of pain. Sometimes it could be the layers of pain, like when we're starting our adulthood and we start trying to fit in with people, trying to do things, and sometimes people tell us that we are not good enough, and we start believing that. And when you enter a relationship, it affects you as well because you believe that what was said to you, you believe it to be true. And as you basically, as I basically work with that person, you realize that actually there is a breakthrough that this person, there's something beautiful and something unique about this person. And they realize that when you talk to them, they're like, I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that. And then you realize there's pain inside. People fear. They don't want to get hurt anymore. If somebody has been hurt, There's no point of starting again. And sometimes you find that people come because some women even don't tell you their real age. They're like, they lie about the age because they believe that if they are over 40, they will never find men that is. Most of men apparently they are looking for younger women. So I'm like, for me personally, I wouldn't want pain. I want a woman who is mature, a woman who knows what they want, because the younger ones, yes, they're beautiful. But what about the person that is older? How can we describe them? They're still beautiful too, because beauty does not come with the, it doesn't come because of boobs. I might have big nice boobies, and maybe what's on the inside of me is not greater than somebody who is 40 something years old. So we just have to believe that anyone that is looking for love, they're looking for love. What's on the inside of a person, not what they can see, because the beauty can fade away. I can, if maybe next year I will look different. Beauty, if you get into a relationship because of how somebody looks, it's no longer a relationship anymore, because when that looks fade away, then that means the relationship ends, because it means you fall in love with the looks of the person. But if you fall in love with this, that's something within, something that is unique, something that you cannot put makeup on, something that you cannot put a lipstick on. That beautiful, beautiful, the world of that person, the spirit that is within that person. If you have to fall in love with that person, the real one, then you will be able to be happy. You'll be able to find joy within it. So sometimes it's beautiful. I'm sure you have experienced that, Dr. Beacon, when somebody comes to you, they don't value themselves, but when they leave, there's this beautiful person inside that recognizing that they are worthy actually, and they are unique, and they have so much to give while they're on earth. So I think it's amazing that if anyone that is watching, and and you're struggling to find love, you need to search within. For me, basically, I search within. I search for answer. I want to connect with the real me. I meditate. I pray to God. I meditate dealing with the conflict in my inner child. If there was ever any conflict, is there any hidden conflict within my inner child? I basically meditate to connect with my inner child. I meditate to actually break the pain, shame, guilty, and fear. I meditate so many things. I look at my life, and I look at how the world works. From a very young age, I look at my life, and I will go and remove every layer in my life. Every layer that is in my life, I remove it. And sometimes it can cause, when you're beginning, it causes pain. But when you are using, when you start basically uh, using it as a habit of your everyday life, it's joy within. It brings joy inside, because you get to decide how you live your life. You get to decide how you respond to life. You get to decide when you meet someone that has anger issues. You get to decide how you're gonna deal with that person. It's your choice now, nobody else. And I'm sure Dr. Bigger, as a grieving coach, you know that when you actually work on yourself, it's all amazing, and it's all about choices. Do the problems go away? Does it mean when you're looking for love, you're not gonna find that person? You're not gonna find somebody who's not gonna waste your time? No, it doesn't mean that. It means you are going to find those kind of a person, but now you are in control, and it's fun when you are in control with your life. It is very, very funny. It's a game. Life is a game. You don't play games with somebody, but you actually play the game and say, I don't want to be treated like this. I don't want to be with somebody that treat me like this. You meet someone, you bring joy to the other person when you go on dates. You don't care whether you look at somebody, you don't care about their looks. You want to know what's on the inside, what's behind this beautiful, handsome man, what's behind this beautiful woman. So you just want to get in inside their world and just get to know them. And it's a joy when you do that. And how do you cut out the noise of the society, Dr. Bridget? What advice do you give to your clients? Because we get basically we listen to our society. This they plant something to us that we end up being followers, and then we have family members, we have friends, and the noise is too loud. How do you cut the noise? You just follow your desires, your choices, whatever your beliefs that might be. You just follow God, maybe to guide you through, or follow the universe to guide you through. How do you do that?
That's a beautiful question, Dumsa. And yes, as you said, it could be the society or it could be even the noise from the past, you know. At some point in life, the way I grew up, and it's not only the way I grew up, it wasn't even so much what people told me, but as a child, for some strange reasons, I was told, and then I start to believe that love will only cause you pain. It was like one of those, you know, never love a man because he will only hurt you, and then also love only cause you pain. And then when you focus on something, when as a child you were told that, or now people says, oh my god, you know, this bad person, this awful guy, this awful ladies, and this saying this and that again. Hi, Agadir. Thank you for joining us today. Please feel welcome to share your thoughts in the comment. And so when that happened, or nowadays, so whether it's your friend, whether it's the news, whether it's the neighbors, or whether it's your past, and perhaps it's something you witnessed, it, even an experience, then how do you cut out the noise? And I would say, for me, everybody different. Like you said, you do a lot of meditations and so forth. And what I found in the past was, when I was trying to do meditations back in the day without any guidance and directions, I end up just spinning. And so, you know what I mean, spinning. In other words, I said, I want to, I would love to be able to do this. I would love this to be changed and that and that. And at the same time, since I have no kind of like, I want to go there, but I don't have the map to get there, I end up just spinning and getting to the same spot and the same spot. And that's when I allow guidance, when I allow support. And even if you meditations, there are certain way to do meditations. And in this case, if how do you cut out the noise from the past? Everybody do it differently. You need to find a way that feels comfortable, whether it is meditations, whether this and that. But the most important thing is, you want to find you want to have to have guides. You want to have the roadmap. And if you ever have a road, if you ever drive in the past where you use those paper maps, that's like, you know, you got to look and drive and look and drive. That takes so much more time. That is so much more complicated. And a lot of time you might accidentally get lost because you don't memorize every single turn correctly, or get in an accident trying to look at the map. And so you want to allow, nowadays we have the technology of GPS that can say, turn left, turn right. What? You got too far. Okay, we detour. And no, oh, okay, you don't want to go on the highway. That's okay. We can take the surface street. And that's called guidance. That's called support. That's called having a coach who have been there, who has traveled your path, and create what it is that you want to create now. and allow guidance. And the moment I allow guidance that can keep you accountable, that I will have client who says, I can't do this. I just cannot make myself do certain thing. And I say, okay, I got you. I hear you. That's normal and human. Do you want the result you do? You said you want. Yes, I do. Okay. Well then let me be your accountability partner. Text me every day after you do this until you got to do it well. And typically it takes people a few weeks to get going, and then they said, okay, yeah, I'm doing this everywhere every day on a consistent regular basis. So have somebody that is uh, knowledgeable, skillful, who has already been through where you want to go and has the result already. And then and that's exactly what I did. I remember there was one time my coach back in the day, this was, I believe, in 2014. She said, this is something and I said, I want this, but I just, it's like, you got to do this. This is something you go. And I, sure enough, I text that coach. And the reason I know to do that is that back in the day for 6 months. And did I, is it something that require an investment? Yes, of course. We want to invest in yourself and in your future, and allow a support that will help you know the path, have the growth map and the GPS, and then create the result that you want.
So that is so true, Dr. Bigeti. I think the guidance, we were talking about it on Friday, talking about the meditation. And I basically said to the audience, you do need guidance. Like what you're saying about meditation, you go round in circles. I think it is very, very important to get some guidance. Because when you have guidance, you know where you're going. And even when things gets tough, when life does not make sense, you know that I can actually make a phone call and find out if I'm still on the right track, or if there is something that I don't understand, because life is sometimes will hit you with something. And so it's important to have some guidance in life, to have that one person that is guiding you through. Yes, it will cost, but the beauty of life is a big investment. And when you invest in something, is the when you learn something, it stays with you. Even if I've seen the things that are basically where I've paid investment, where I'm like, I need to learn this, I need to do this, I don't want to be this person, I want to be this. I'm going all in and I'm learning, and basically it's like when you decide that pain, when to allow the pain tell you that it's impossible, that means basically you open the drawer and you put all your needs and your desires and you lock them in there. So you need somebody to help you to find that key. And finding that key, it will require you to be really, really honest. Even when you go to a therapist, they'll speak to you, and when they speak to you, they'll be triggering something, your feelings, without you realizing, and it will be you that has to respond in truth. And when you respond in truth, it means that I don't want to be that person that I used to be. I want to be this person that whatever my needs, my desires, I want to live that. I want to live by my beliefs, my values. Uh, Thank you for participating. Oh, is that you, Dr. Niket? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's actually, yeah, you have to live by your values. And I understand, basically it is important to actually live your life, how what you believe to be true about your life, and live that. because sometimes we tend to neglect ourselves, neglect our desires, and we basically live the life that other our friends thinks that we should be. And I've I've seen people sometimes they think they know me, but for me, when I think I know myself, sometimes I surprise myself. So how can you claim to know me if myself I'm getting surprises about myself? Because life is about discovering who you are. Like today, I might pray and God might show me the things that I didn't believe to be true about myself. So there is no way that somebody can claim that I know Nomsa very, very well. No, you don't. Nomsa's world. If you want to know Nomsa's world, you have to get to know me. But just because we're getting to know each other, there's still more within that can be triggered, that can be discovered, the beautiful things about myself or about you, Dr. Vicky, or about anyone that is watching. So sometimes it is nice to actually look at your story and look at where you've been and tell the truth about your story. Rewrite it, redesign it completely. It's very, very important to redesign your life how you want it to be and be as honest as you can. And Dr. Biget, you say you're grieving joyful living. And when you are truthful to yourself, it brings joy to your life. But when you are not, it brings frustration, it brings pain, anxiety, stress. So you don't want to live like a follower. You want to be who you want to be, who you were created to be. That's how I live my life. I basically refuse to actually live the life that I cut the noise. And Dr. Pickett, you know that I basically struggled to find my home when I was looking for a home. I couldn't find a home. It was tough, but I just said to myself, I don't need to rush. I just need to keep looking. And I just looked, and I was very lucky having people like you that every time I see you guys, I'll be like, putting my problems there, and you'll be, as a grieving coach, you'll be giving me some advice. And I see Carol Ann, and Carol Ann, I remember the last time, and she said to me, why don't you look back to your ancestors and just see if there is any blockage within that is blocking you finding your home. So it's basically when I finished broadcasting, I just took some, I had to meditate and meditate because for me, my family, not having a home is something that I have experienced. I've never experienced not having a home. Having a home was the first thing that my parents had, like make sure that we have a home. And so I had to actually just break away like the pain that was inside of me because I look at my children, I'm like, I have the money, but I can't find the home that I want. And so I had to actually embrace and be grateful that I am here on earth for a purpose. And I find myself meditating. And when I meditated, that's when the things, when somebody tells you that try this, if it does make sense, I know that ancestral can bring blockage in our lives. So I had to deal with that. And I realized that actually it is what it is. So I don't have to accept it. I have to just keep taking action and see where I will end up. So I kept taking action and I kept taking action. I never gave up or to say, oh, feeling sorry for myself. So action was something that I kept doing. And if you're single, don't lie to yourself and say, there is no, it's impossible to find Mr. Right out there. It's impossible to find the right person, the right woman. Because the queen that you're looking for, the queen that is beautiful, has brain, that has basically good mindset, and that can actually be a mentor to your life. That can be basically that can give life. That can actually be with Dr. Bigger, you talk about the coach. A woman's job basically in a relationship, they become a mentor. They mentor their men to become, they bring the best out of their men. So that man is waiting for you out there, or that woman is waiting for you. Don't lie to yourself and say, I'm happy the way I am. I know that I did that myself, where I'm going to say I'm happy, but knowing that inside I'm miserable. And that was that. With the house, basically, I had to say out loud, I had to tell God that I'm not happy. I want my own home. Give me my own home. I wasn't happy, and I was never gonna lie and say I'm happy living with my father-in-law and the kids and their father. I wasn't gonna lie, and I said it out loud that I'm not happy. But God, I understand that life is a journey, and I kept holding on to that. Yes, the house is gonna come. And when I look at the house, well, sometimes I don't like the house, I'll say no. And everyone, the noise is like, you can't pick and choose. I'm like, yes, I can. I can pick and choose what I want. And I don't have to move to an area where I don't want to live. I was like, I love this area, and my house is gonna come up. And everyone is like, it's tougher to find a house, where I'm like, it's gonna be okay. If I have to wait, I wait. So it's the same thing. Dr. Biggin, I know it's 7 minutes past 2. Do you have any words of encouragement right now, and for somebody that basically who knows what kind of results that they want, but they have fear, because the fear is the big problem in our lives. They have fear to love again. They fear for the past to repeat itself. So, what advice can you give that person to hold on to so they can love again?
So the one advice or the one word of encouragement is actually a little bit of an adaptation of what you see behind my wall on my wall here. It says, "If you believe in yourself, anything is possible." Well, that is partly true, is what I would say. Yes, anything is possible if you believe in yourself. So, in other words, if you want a different result, anything is possible. But I would say that's actually an incomplete saying. If you take the action, if you don't do anything, nothing will change. But if you take the action, anything is possible. So if you don't have the result that you want, you are not in a relationship that you want, and you have tried things in the past, perhaps taking the action is trying something, is to decide and take the action. Go ahead and take the action of doing something that you have not tried in the past. And that could be working with our love harmonies like Numsa. That could be saying, okay, you know what? I don't know what it is that might be unresolved grief in me, but I'm not a grief coach. Tell yourself that. And then allow somebody who's a specialist in that. There are plenty of grief coach, including myself. You have tried personal development, that doesn't work. Try something different. So take the action, and it's absolutely possible for you to have what you would love, living in the loving relationship that you would love if you take the action.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bigger. That is really, really powerful. Taking action is something that I believe in, and also working on your limiting beliefs as well, and knowing that life is a game. Just play it, even if you've been hurt. You've learned something from that hurt to just teach others instead of holding on, and let it go of the hurt and teach others how to break away from that pain, and Work on redesigning your life how you want and not holding the pain. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Bigot. Anyone who is watching, please, you can get in touch with Dr. Bigot. She's a grieving coach. If you are struggling to love, to find love, because love, everything is all about the brokenness. If you are struggling to connect with people, that means there is brokenness within that needs to be fixed. And get in touch with her. And if you are looking for love, get in touch with me as well. You can register to our website. And if you are looking for to find your own voice, lead from within it. Of course, the talk shows, we are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please just get in touch with us and connect you with Dr. Bigot or connect you with the other coaches that you feel that they can help you to basically to break away from the pain and be your own leader and to live with grace, everyone. And YouTube subscribers, family, please subscribe to our channel. God bless everyone.